mean, it's very good. Hi, everybody. Hi. I'm really surprised there's so many people here.
Cool. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us again for Human the Abject, and thanks a ton to Jayson Musson for being here with us tonight. Very excited to have him. And I apologize, I'm a little out of it. The book fair just ended, so I've been like that. But thank you to you guys who came by, and congrats to those of you guys who had work in it. It was really cool to see people from the Bruce family having this stuff on display there.
Should I say something?
No, it's like parked outside. Stuck in traffic?
Yeah, no one cares.
Okay. Incredibly fucking distracting. Yeah, writes and stuff. Okay, so I guess we've known each other for 3 or 4 years or so. I was working at a portfolio day at Cal Arts inside Los Angeles for this school that I used to work at in Portland, doing the weird, like, awkward review somebody's potential grad portfolio in like 10 minutes and give them, tell them whether or not to sink into debt for the rest of their life. And the woman who was sitting next to me was from UPenn, Jackie Towston, right?
Jackie.
And Jackie was sitting next to me, and as you are sitting there over the course of the day, you get to talking and things like that, and we were chatting about work and whatever, and I gave her a zine at a certain point because she seemed cool, and she was looking at it, and she said, oh, you've got to meet this student that I have, Jayson. He's making these videos. I think you were making them at that time, right? Like 2010?
Yeah, I think. I'm also a little bit, like, sickish. But yeah, it was like 2010.
And so she sent me a link to some of the YouTube videos that would eventually, like, you guys know, like Art Thoughts, and I started to watch them and saw kind of ridiculous parallels between my interests and what Jayson was doing and kind of his approach. And we were in touch for probably like a couple of years over email and the internet before we met in person in New York. And so it's been really great to see Jayson's kind of trajectory in the way that he's used certain approaches and exploited certain aspects of the art world in order to sort of like get a footing and make a pretty significant impact, in my opinion. And yeah, so and we've done some stuff together. I was happy that Jayson put a book out on social malpractice, Black Like Me, which was a really great collection of essays that you've done.
And Sean, like, there's like this like kind of like a crest and a cliff. Like Sean just couldn't he just stopped talking and I think he started becoming really insulting to people. A little bit. But anyway, I was like, all right, I'll put Sean in a cab and send him home. I finally was able to hail. It's 30. We were at 36 and 8. I was able to hail a cab for him. I put him in the cab. The cab drove went 10 feet, stopped, and the dude rolled out the window and yelled, he said, "Get your fucking friend out of here." So I dragged Sean out onto the street. I think you were just cursing at him. You were and so we waited around. I made you sit on a planter. And for me to catch a cab over you, that's. So I got you to another cab. I prepped him. I was like, please don't say anything. Just shut the fuck up, send the cab, and just get to where you have to go. And you now getting to where you have to go?
Back to the apartment where I was staying at a friend's who was out of town, and I woke up at 3 the next day. I didn't have a phone or a wallet or anything. It was really confused and was oh my god, what's going on? And I was digging around. I had to fly out, and I needed my ID, obviously, and was going nuts, digging through my bag trying to find it. And at the bottom, I found this pink citation. I was like, the fuck is this? And I looked it up, and it was it was a public urination ticket. And I looked at the address, and I thought it said 346 Broadway, and I was like, who the fuck was I in Chinatown last night? And I thought that I had gotten in the cab and been like, sir, take me to Canal. But I eventually realized that that's where I was supposed to report for court. The ticket was from the address where I was staying. Apparently I peed on the front steps in an act of some sort of protest. I don't know. I found my phone maybe an hour later,
way behind the toilet. I was doing a selfie while I was getting sick or something, and finally turned my phone back on, and my girlfriend at the time. Yeah, so anyways, you guys know Jason's work. He shows with Salon 94. Like I said, for anybody who's interested, we're trying to rally a Philly on the 11th. People can't go that day. I would suggest going any other time we get down there. The show sounds amazing. It's you and Alex DeCorte and
yeah, it's a 2-hour video. So when you go down there, just know that you're kind of committing, or you can walk around the ICA, but it's 2 hours. It's carpet you can lay down on. But it's it's a commitment because it's a 4-channel video, and there are 5 scenes in the video, and some of the scenes, the action transitions. So it's kind of turn around and look at shit, and you have to read a lot too. So it's really pretty. So carpet, not watch anything. Close your eyes, smoke before you go in, and just listen to the score because the score is fucking awesome. That finds the score, and it's actually you can not watch anything at all. The score is it's each scene is at least 30 minutes, so it's you can not participate in the visual art at all. Which might be the best.
yeah, that's a nice option.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, when can you actually just go somewhere and lay down and listen to music, nowhere, unless you're in mom's house.
Yeah.
I can't lay down in my apartment.
So yeah, if people are interested in doing that, I think maybe I'll, I don't know if it's post something in the Facebook group or the problem with doing a Google and all of your emails are visible and I don't want to share all your emails. So we'll figure something out. But if you think, let me know and we'll try to figure out a time that we can meet to go there because that would be fun to go as a group for anybody who can make it that day. And so, yeah, and you had a show this last summer at Salon 94. That's your second one there.
Yeah.
2 years ago you did the Coogee sweaters. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, I'm really stoked that you came here. This is the second time I booked you for a lecture. Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I really appreciate
You're welcome.
it to me, but it was also funny, and it was called Post Lollipop. And Post Lollipop basically was a series of photos I shot using film. It was a double exposure where I shot images of television of the Powerpuff Girls, double exposed with this VHS tape, VHS tape that my roommate owned, which I think I after a while adopted it and kept it in my room. But I think it was the first time I did something. I was like, wow, but it has there's some kind of weight to it. Or maybe not. Maybe I was just delusional. I was really happy. But you know, it's like this dichotomy between like images that people consume for pleasure, which at a certain age is, you know, cartoons, and at others it's, depending on your disposition, it's, you know, pornography or other things. But this is, and also it was like the porno was edited weirdly, so there was no genitalia at all. It was like Spice Channel porn. Someone like decided to make a VHS tape of Spice Channel, which is just like everything. It's just like head bobbings and close-up shots of asses.
Was it a mix, or did it have like a narrative?
No, I don't remember. Oh, I think it was like something in the South, maybe. I think it was like antebellum South. I'm not sure. And all this stuff was, you know, it was shot. You know, I shot a roll of film, and then rewound the film and reshot it again. So I didn't know how any of this would end up. It was all by chance. And there was a much more. There was a gnarly. And I worked at Pearl at the time. So this sticker is pretty small. It's only like 4 inches by 5 inches. And again, I worked at Pearl at the time too, so I had 2 jobs. I'm Jamaican. But I stole sticker paper, like, you know, thousands of dollars worth of sticker paper. And I would just like write these stickers out, print them up in the lab, and we would put them up around downtown Philly, where I went to school, or in the school themselves. And it was good, you know. You know, it's like, why would you get down to the message of all the people to hate? You know, it was like, this shit was like, it was just like arbitrarily mean. And my at the time when she saw this, she was like, I think she was living in Baltimore at the time, and she like came to visit me, and she saw this, she was like, well, Jayson, what's wrong with you? Like, how can you write this stuff? To us, like, it wasn't positive, but Pack of Rats is my alias when I made the knife stickers. It was also, it was inspired, the name Pack of Rats was inspired by rap. I'll let you read this if you want. Wait, I use condoms. But the name Pack of Rats is a rapper named Sub Rock from this rap group KMD. And Sub Rock was his main rap name, and he had a second rap name, which was Dead Roach. And I was like, yeah, that's the fucking best rap name I've ever heard. Like, by far, it's unappealing. It's like so great. So Pack of Rats is kind of like trying to emulate Dead Roach. Yeah, so these are like very small stickers I put up around school.
Is Kurt in?
Kurt was, he was into knives. His knife name, because he was really diesel at the time. He used to play Heat. Kurt, my best friend, we both grew up together outside of New York City. He transferred to school in Philly to KU Arts 2 years after I did, and he used to play college football on tracks, and he was fucking. And so he was just like, he just had like this crazy puffed up like football college athlete chest, and so his name was Sandra. Yeah, Kurt's all, I used to rap with Kurt. I'll get to the rap stuff eventually. And so, you know, these stickers gave birth to 2 Black for BET, which actually, by the time I hit senior year in undergrad, I like totally gave up on photography. I was just writing and doing printmaking and making these posters. And this was actually my thesis, my senior like thesis in undergrad, 2 Black for BET. Around 9/11. This was actually the mailer for the first 2 Black for BET show. I sent 700 of these out in the mail, and I was like, I'm on some like a list, you know. I don't do anything, but I'm on a list for sure. And this in part was inspired, I guess, after 9/11. If you looked a certain way and had facial hair of a certain length, you were kind of like called like Osama. I've definitely called Osama like tons of times after 9/11. Never Sand Nigger though, but Osama definitely. So I was like, I mean, why? What did I do? I just have a beard, you know? It's like fucking a little bit tan. Hold on. I feel like Rick Ross not enjoying all that fucking talk on NPR. Fuck punk rock too. That shit won't get any better than Bad Brains. That shit won't get any better than Bad Brains, you dirty white devils. Go back to hell. Forrest Whitaker is going to send you. Ghost Dog is a sign that the white man's time on the this planet is coming to an end. So don't worry about our guns, devil, because niggas got swords now too, and we're learning how to use them fast. You think niggas care that you like Public Enemy, devil? I'm still gonna slice you up and shoot you up the same way we're gonna do the Dave Matthews fans. Shit, at least the Dave Matthews fans are honest about being white, while you, on the other hand, are always expressing your sorrow over slavery or running your mouth about Mumia. And let's not even start on the white boys. Them shits look like an assortment of dead squirrels, all reaching for the same direct capitalists. In the process, they got glued together, then the face of So yeah, I was learning how to write. Let's see here. Black people don't cry. I know white people have stolen, but we still have FUBU. So let those devils keep jazz, rock, and their swing dancing, as well as their contemptible white Jesus. You know the real dilly, and that dilly is, one day, Jay-Z will buy you a house because you bought all of his records. And then he'll buy you a pony because you had his back when he was beefing with Nas. And then he'll give you a recording contract because your voice is so very unique. And then he'll also ask you to marry him. This is before Beyonce. He ain't on some gay shit though, he just thinks he's a real nigga, and he wouldn't mind a real nigga quality of life part. Jay-Z lightly mumbles to you, maybe we'll kiss a little, not me. But that's it, dog. I ain't gay. You know Jigga isn't telling the whole truth. It's obvious that he wants more than a kiss, but secretly, so do you. This is my personal favorite.
She's a UN ambassador.
That's something I can tell my mom. When Hermione from the Harry Potter movies gets old enough, I will have sexual intercourse. It will be pleasing, and then we will both smoke cigarettes afterward. We won't have much in common, so there will be not much to say to one another. In order to break the ever-increasing silence between us, I will offer her a bump of cocaine. However, she will refuse my offer, instead giving me a brief lecture on the pitfalls of drug use. I will tell her thank you, because I am genuinely thankful for her concern, but I will ask her to leave my apartment anyway, because I really don't need a drug lecture. When I finally manage to roust her out of my dwelling, I will then the conversation will proceed as follows. What up, I hit, what else, plus the same word, and we got it on tonight. This is only funny if you're a pervert, like Harry Potter, and like him. No, my mom's talking. I did one time when I was super broke. I was like, Mom, I need to borrow money. It's getting pretty drastic. To offer a helping hand to the contestant, producers of the show would give the contestant $3 that would allow him or her to take any form of public transportation the contestant would deem fit. But initially, not knowing what city they were in or the route of said bus or train, the contestant could end up in a much more dangerous neighborhood. Side of things, literally. The contestant can end up in the white neighborhood. It would even be fun to place the contestant in a black neighborhood that is situated right next to a white neighborhood. It would be interesting to see if the contestant, due to some preternatural sense of safety, can sniff out the location of the white neighborhood in proximity to them. Did I mention that the contestants would be white? I most likely did. The contestants will be quite high for this program, and an exceptionally lucrative amount of advertising revenue can be expected from this program as well. Yes. And that's, that's too bad. There's a total of 32 posters between the two shows I had of the Too Black for BET. And this next body of work is it's not really like a fully developed thing, but in the summer of 2006, when I showed Too Black for BET 2, I had these little 3" by 3" cards in between each poster, and it was just me documenting all these text messages I saved throughout that summer. And this is when, this is pre-smartphone, so it was like all T9 typing and flip phones, and so the small box of the phone screen would cut text messages in a way that was kind of like poetic to me. So I wanted to document these text messages as these small poems sent to me by my friends. And that's literally how they came to me in my phone. This is someone walking with my friend to get a ride home. It's crazy. Same person. She's crazy. We don't have to get work bullshit. I was working at a cafe, I think. I was a barista for a long time. Like doctor barista. If you're a barista more than 4 years. That's the same dude with bugs in the grasshopper dude. So if you're interested, I'll give him your number. He's actually still single. So. Also, I draw a lot too. I don't draw that much anymore, but this is from a series called Juvenilia. I think I showed this in 2007 or something. These are just black and white drawings. Actually, I think I got into writing, learned about BT. I used to draw comic books when I was a teenager, and I think that's kind of, I guess, what got me interested in text and writing was comic books, like having to write a whole story, dialogue and scenes and everything. Self-portrait.
You sponsored your own.
Oh, what?
Sponsored.
Oh yeah. That means I just showed up and rap. But so it's cool. It was amazing being in it, making music for so long. Like I spent my 20s in a cave called the Club, and it was rap.
You guys were weirdly popular in Tempe, Arizona.
That's fucking weird. I mean, it's kind of like nerdy and shit, but I don't know. So I feel like, I don't know, sometimes I come more from music. Either I don't know how to play an instrument, or I'm not musical at all really, but I feel like I come out of a music background. And then in 2007, I ended up, this British producer, Mark Ronson, he invited us to come on tour with him, and this is from the costume party, this massive costume party, and it went from playing these weird small clubs in Philly and New York and also in London to these weirdly oddly professional. Mark is kind of he's a nerd, and he liked us because we were nerdy, and so this is Glastonbury. This is a really pixelated photo. So this is right before I went to grad school too. So when I came to grad school, coming off of and making music, kind of doing whatever I want. I was kind of I don't know if I had a shitty attitude, or I just was I was able to put the attitude of graduate school in a certain sphere. I was the same shit. But you can't tell me nothing after rapping on stage right here. I'll take a prom break. Now I have 3 songs I can play for you from Plastic Little. One is a real song called Cambodia. One is a song, Dick Pizza. A song when we were kind of at the end of our making songs. We were let's get together. Let's try.
Just released a little while ago.
No, we didn't really release anything. The secret,
online. Whatever shit.
Yeah. Dick Pizza. We we tried to get together to make a song. We were come on, we can do it. We made so much music together, and we were just at the tail end of being productive together. And so Dick Pizza was a result of 3 friends who not being able to actually make a real song. So we made a fake club infomercial for a pizza-style burrito that you can put your penis into. A serious song. And then there's Brooklyn.
It's not.
I mean, it sounds like a real song.
Yeah,
it's not a real song. We can't perform it. I don't know how to perform it. And then there's Brooklyn, which is when I was living in Philly, I had my heat turned off. And I was my life was pretty much, I was a bike messenger, and
It works now.
yeah, it was. Bike messenger. I had to go to my ex-girl's roommate would let me shower at their house. It was I was pretty much at that was the bottom of my life. And so Brooklyn was this acapella song about wanting to move to Brooklyn, which is sweet and sincere. But okay, I'll play Brooklyn, then I'll play I don't know, it's all kind of great. Brooklyn's sweet though. You can do it.
Let's just go with Dick Pizza.
Okay, hold on. Let me.
You can just move.
You know, people in Philly hate New York. I'll play part of a real song, and then we can move on to like other. I want to play one of those.
Banana boat, not banana ramble blow. Yeah, what that mean? It means I got a lot of coke, copped it on Rich the Bro. Bro, you were just a so-and-so, nigga, nobody know. Just a local zero, nobody's hero, nobody's child. We kind this nigga out. Rap niggas beating them like we bro, and they get flow, yo, homie, it's so simple. Cambodia, Romeo, it's a rodeo. Hold the monkey, so co-ass, 700 club, like Oleo, Oleo. Ali, Ali, tripples, we love it when you can't see to get enough of these. You know we wear it well like on the bars. Yo, homie, you call those the squad. Oh, homie, some homies go home. Come back tomorrow when you got the dope book of blue. Make a stain with it, no shame, the name shit. It's J-O-N, Rainforest Pimp, and the same kid sleeping in the club. I snuck in the back way, took the nap. Keep the gas, make sure grab the ashtray. I'm about to celebrate it Saturday, and I'm not there to celebrate on the elephant. Holding my man, I can't vote, double grab a hold of it quick and never let go. Stomp your face like a step show. It's a different world, Wayne's got the best flow. And dress clothes by Espo on the Vespa, like Flight 93, yo, Lesbo's bank rock in the headphone. Smoking wet, you're wet and coke. I do it till I'm 50 and broke. Over 20 to smoke, it's plenty dope. Anybody wanna know about it, tell them ask Bomb the Billow, he'll show them about it.
Boom. All right, so yeah. So I was on tour with Mr. Musson in 2008. And while I was on tour with him, this is during the 2008 election cycle, and you know, this is when Barack Obama was in. I feel like only kids really have faith and trust in other people, and so this is a Terminator 2 quote. Arnold says that's a Sarah Connor when he encounters her. I think in the hospital, right? Come with me if you want to live, or he said to Edward Furlong. I don't know. And so, so this is like right before I went to grad school, and I decided I was going to continue making these kind of paintings, but without like Obama as the protagonist. And also because I had just entered grad school, I was kind of trying to figure out what I was doing. I went to grad school at the University of Pennsylvania, and they have a very small MFA program there. So I was just, you know, making paintings, trying to figure out what am I doing with my life. My faculty didn't really like my art. Is American. This is all my first semester in UPenn. This is 2009, yeah. No, sorry, I should preface this. And also while I was on tour, I was in Liverpool once, and there was this T-shirt that it was like a beach style tourist T-shirt that said, I'm not fat, I'm pregnant. And I was like, I fell in love with this T-shirt because it was just like, it was like a punchline without a joke. The punchline was just bad. And it's just, I was making a lot of, I was just like traveling and doing music shit. And so I hadn't really made any art in a while or written in a while. So I was just like, you know, I became obsessed with this kind of short form humor of this kind of like, I call it the vacation style T-shirt. And so this series is called The Hard Sell. I was really interested in the language used to discuss art, and in the fall semester, the first semester of 2009, is when I decided that I wanted to create Hennessy Youngman. Well, at the time I didn't know what his name was. I knew that I wanted to create this black comedian character based on Def Jam, like Def Jam comedy from like the early 90s that would talk about some of the motifs or tropes within academic art or contemporary fine art. And that's all I really had. I just knew that I wanted to make this like this one-liner, like the black version of like a Catskills comedian kind of thing. I really had no idea what I was doing. You know, I wrote like the first script, which is called Live at the Laughaway House. These are just chains. I'm not going to show any videos. I think some of you might be familiar with the videos, but I'm going to just go through some of the influences for Hennessy. I started it in 2010, and the last video I made was in 2012. So yeah, it was just Hennessy was really about language. I think my shit went out. I'm not good. No, I shouldn't smoke. But obviously, like a very big influence is Richard Pryor and comedian Bill Hicks. And I'm gonna, you know, Hennessy. The first videos were really based on this dichotomy between, this dichotomy between the difference of black people and white people, which is kind of like a mainstay in Def Comedy Jam. You know, black people do this, white people do it this way. And I'm gonna play this. Where the fuck is the sound? I don't know. Oh, it's right here. Sorry. There we go.
Cops put a hurting on your ass, man. You know, they really degrade you. White folks don't believe that shit. Don't believe cops degrade.
Those beatings, those people are resisting arrest. I'm tired of this harassment of police officers.
Because the police live in your neighborhood, see? And you be knowing them as Officer Timpson.
Oh, Officer Timpson going bowling tonight? Yes, nice pinto you have.
Niggas don't know them like that. See, white folks get a ticket, they pull over.
Hey, officer, yes, glad to be of help.
Nigga got to be talking about, I am reaching into my pocket for my license.
And you know, that shit's still a reality today. Another.
I'm enjoying my motherfucking life, that's all I'm saying. I advise you to do the same. Do shit that make you happy. Go out and get you some white friends. Get you some white motherfucking friends. You ain't gotta sleep with them, but you gonna need them motherfuckers. If you go to jail and call your nigga friends, these motherfuckers will interrogate you more than the goddamn police did. They had your ass on the phone. Where the fuck was you at? What the fuck was you doing? Why the fuck you ain't called me? Not your white friends. Them motherfuckers will be there by the time you hang up the phone, and they'll be madder than you. Just what the fuck did he do? Murder, dude. Look, I fucking known him for 2 weeks. He wouldn't fucking do something like that. I love white people. I don't give a fuck what you say. White people are friendly. You can call them motherfuckers up at 3 o'clock in the morning with the wrong number, and they won't even be mad at you. Hello? No, I'm sorry. No Shaquita here. Well, what number did you dial? No, it's a 9, not a 7. Well, try it. If it doesn't work, call me back. I love white people.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like, you know, as an artist, I feel like comedy is more, I don't know, I'm seldom like seeing art doesn't make me want to make art. Like, listening to music and comedy really makes me want to make shit more than going to a gallery or a museum or anything. Another influence on the Hennessy project was, this is more of like a formal influence. There's this guy, his name is Plinkett, and he reviewed all 3 of the prequel Star Wars movies that are as long, if not longer, than the movies. And they are so fucking funny. And so, like, in terms of film analysis, by far blows, to me, blows.
Stop wasting my time. Stop it without saying one word of awkward, boring political dialogue that goes on for 10 minutes. We know everything we need to know just by the visuals. Rebels, Empire. We got a sense of...
So yeah, I mean, I highly recommend watching it.
Have you seen Wizard People Dear Reader?
No, I haven't, no.
What?
It's, oh my fucking god, the Harry Potter
No,
thing.
no.
The guy just overdubs Harry Potter, but like, he's like, hey, Harry can't understand.
Brad Neely?
I don't know.
Brad Neely,
I know Brad. Oh man, no, I
Yeah,
don't. Oh
he did
shit.
that.
Oh my god. Oh, I need to write this.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I didn't know Brad Neely. Yeah, I love Brad Neely.
Brothers too.
I love Professor Brothers. What is it? Flip Night? What was? There's this one Professor Brothers. It's like a 2-part like episode. I think it's called like Fluff Night.
Cliff Night.
Flip Night.
It
Yeah.
is- you had it right the first time.
Yeah. Flip Night's the shit. I love Flip Night. But yeah, you guys should watch this. I mean, I highly recommend it. And you can actually, I feel like it's definitely a direct formal influence on like the Art Thoughts project. What's next? Okay. This is I don't know how much time. A lot now. So, I was invited to do. There's this museum in Philadelphia called the Fine Arts, and it's the first art school in America that taught neoclassical painting methods. To this day, they have a graduate program, but it's still kind of a bastion of realist painting. And they hired this contemporary curator named Julian Robeson, who's amazing. Well, Julian's fucking crazy because he asked me to do like a show in their permanent collection. And these are like painters who were friends with the founding fathers. So there's portraits of George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, not Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin. Philly, it's awful. But these presidents actually. And so Julian asked me to come in and do some kind of like institutional critique or intervention. And so I made an audio tour for their fucking collection, which I think I got homie fired. Like honestly, I mean, I couldn't really do much in terms of like I couldn't like go Fred Wilson on it because they didn't want me to touch anything.
Fred
Wilson. Go Fred Wilson. You can touch shit. You know, like you're allowed to move shit around and create relationships between works. They're like no, don't. So the audio tour was really like the last ditch. What was the cursor? Sorry, I'm like looking at this little screen for the cursor.
Set up like that.
I don't know how to change it.
Get rid of your presenter notes.
I don't know how to do that.
It's just like this big.
I don't know how to do this. Oh shit! Sorry.
A baby in a wine glass? I mean, yeah, the baby is the Cupid, so there's probably like some allegorical thing possibly going on with this painting, like the bottom of a wine glass, calling our attention to the age-old relationship between booze and boning. But yo, it's still a fucking baby in a wine glass, son. That's just a little weird, right? I mean, maybe I'm missing out. Perhaps a baby marinated in wine is actually well known to Europeans. And after Socrates was done philosophizing on the street corners, he would go home and dip a baby in some Pinot Noir and chow down. You know, maybe the reason Herod wanted every firstborn Jewish baby killed was because he wanted to stockpile on some choice meats for the year. And Yahweh was in it chilling and told him, Herod, this is Yahweh. Herod, I don't know how to tell you this, so I'll just come out and say it. Herod, I think you should start eating babies dipped in wine. Australian red. Please, Herod, don't look at me that way. Just do my bidding. Just do my bidding, for it is the will of Yahweh. Oh, and Herod, before you go, I'm also thinking about changing my name. I've never really felt like a Yahweh. Herod, how do you feel about the name Carl?
So there's like 20, and also this museum is like a very pretty museum, and I made just so that people, even if they don't listen to the tour, because this is a really old museum, the docents hold a lot of power, as I've come to learn. So I made my audio tour tags fucking like tied rainbow acid, like as annoying as possible. So even if you're like, fuck this audio tour, fuck this dude, you're still gonna have to deal with this blaring, ugly thing next to the painting. So I was able to ruin people's art experiences for at least a good 3 months. There's one more. You gotta show me how to get out of this.
I really don't know what's going on in this painting. It's called militia training, but it seems like it's more like an old-fashioned b-boy circle. It looks kind of fun, actually. I like the white dude.
Museum too that looked at the graphic design style of the museum and placed them in the museum so they look like legit museum signs. And so this is just like how to look at paintings. You know, it's like, and Nathaniel was like really condescending. And through each sign, there's actually a story of his marriage falling apart. his marriage falling apart was him like realizing that he was gay. And it plays out. The sign, like he will start talking about art and like always like end talking about his marriage. And so this is a sign I put in the women's bathroom, like the wounds of dating an art critic. Should I read this? No, I'm not gonna read this, but I don't have any of this stuff. This stuff's not online. I should put it online. I actually like the Nathaniel stuff more than the Hennessy stuff because I was able to like write like a mini novel about this guy's like falling apart. So family business. Then in 2012, I was invited to do a project in family business, this small project space by Musson and Lucio Catalan. But I was invited by Marilyn Minter, who's curating a month there. And Marilyn didn't know me at the time, she just knew me from my videos. And so I decided, this space is like 10 by like 15. I decided that I would just make an open call and show like whatever. Open calls, bring it and we'll show it, which was a fucking insane, stupid idea. It was fun. Like, it was we had open call for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This is 3 p.m. by Friday.
Oh.
And I don't know how to do anything technical. I make videos. So, you know, basically when you're receiving hundreds and hundreds of artwork, you should hang it as you get it. Rusennial, which I should have talked to someone here because you guys know how to like chaos, I think, a little bit better than I did. I was just ready to leave all this and like, fuck it. So yeah, it was like a nightmare. It's like we had 550 artists or pieces of work. We cataloged everything. But it was
like Rusennial.
Yeah. This was a nightmare. I'm sure Rusennial has more people. This was hung by 4 people: Tommy Coleman, Sarah Workna.
50 more people that would 1,000 times.
It was awful. I needed like time to like chill out. Do it again, but it was and the delivery guy still found it. And I wanted to take a picture with him. Then I just gave the picture away. I didn't give the pizza away. It was like awesome. I looked as it was open. It was only open for most of the shows. Family business are only open for a couple of days, I think, and I asked for an extension because there's just so much work and it would be stupid to just have it open for 3 days after setting it up for free. Man, being a curator, I would never want to be a curator because as an artist, I know that I'm crazy, and to deal with 500, like slightly, I think all artists are a little bit nuts, and we're on a sliding scale of crazy, and I mean, I'm never want to deal with that. So being a curator, as much as they're easy to make fun of, you don't really want to deal with them. And then this gets to the paintings, the Kuji paintings I made. When I was in graduate school at Penn, I think I was online shopping for Hennessy, and I used to bartend, and I was like drunk one night, like at 4 in the morning, I got done with my shift, and I was like looking at shit for Hennessy, and I came across this Kuji sweater, and I was like, holy shit, this shit's a painting, look at this fucking thing. I might have done the drugs too when I got home, but, and so I was like, what would it look like if I made a painting like out of Kuji sweater? So this was the first like Kuji painting that I made. This is my grad school final show. And at the time I didn't know how to sew. My best friend Kurt, he knew how to sew, so I like bought all these sweaters and kind of like told him how I wanted them to look, and this is like Kurt's sewing job, which is fine, but it was not really how I really wanted it. And so then I did the Scout Eagle residency after school, and I learned how to sew. I had 9 weeks in Maine to like figure out how to like sew. So then I started sewing my own pieces, and these are the 2 afterward. This is actually the David Castillo Gallery in Miami. And it's funny, as a writer, someone who's kind of detached. So part of writing that's kind of detached. There's a disembodiment to it. And I really enjoyed learning how to sew and kind of having a material. They were lamenting that their sweaters were kind of adopted by rap, like rap artists and like black culture, because they kept their price point low. Where Missoni is pretty expensive, and they're like still their sweaters. I mean, if you can buy a sweater, it's still like $300. But they were lamenting that shit. They're kind of douchebags. And so I'm glad this is short. Fuck you, Gucci. I mean, it's another thing. I think there are certain like things that like this kind of like cool. They're like writing. Their whole name is tied to like hip hop and like cool, but they don't really appreciate it. So this brings us us to my second salon show, the exhibit of abstract art.
That was in July.
That was July, that was this year. I'm glossing over a lot of stuff to get to the end. Ernie Bushmiller was an American comic artist who was born in the Bronx. Ernie is like your grumpy uncle. You know, he was really suspect of like rock, modernism, modern art, which is kind of a shame. I mean, I'll get to that. Sorry, I'm drunk now. And I wanted to do this in grad school, but I just was like, I didn't have like the time to get to it. This is actually the concept for the show is a couple years older than this year. But I love the disdain. I mean, I love like, I love seeing like, something like I said, like I like seeing the bad idea come to life. And this was like, I was like, yo, I presented this idea to the gallery, like, yeah, sure, this is great. I was like, are you fucking sure? Yeah, this is great. I'm like, okay. It was fun. I mean, I really enjoyed making. They were all made in Flash, which is super flat paint.
Of course, you had to choose color from the original black and white.
Yeah. There's no color in the series, so it's just me making the colors that go together. I don't have any color sense at all. Not at all. So this was July, and I was actually at the end of this talk. So this brings us to Eastman Sports, which is up now at ICA, which is a 4-channel video that I did with a friend of mine, Alex DeCourt, which was.
Je voudrais cette sphère rose.
Celle-ci?
Oui, celle-ci. Merci. Et sa planche ira très bien. Il ne faut pas l'embiner. Vous avez le droit de vous asseoir sur la barrière pour admirer le paysage autour de votre village. Mais si vous restez assis sur la barrière trop longtemps, et vous évanouir dans le néant comme Humpty Dumpty, l'abîme ne me réclamera pas.
Comment ça m'est arrivé là?
Donnez-moi ces lances-là aussi. J'ai pas mal de gardiens, tu vois. Merci.
Où est-ce que tout a dérapé?
Experience working with places like ICA or working with Salon, navigating like with Marilyn Minter and things like that, and the way that you're, you know, I think, do you identify, are you cis ethnic? Do you identify as black?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't want to be presumptuous.
Well, my family, in terms of like, my family has been mixing races
Nice.
since the early 20th century.
It's hot.
My family's from Jamaica. Even the white people in my family are from Jamaica. And I think, when it's hot enough, you don't give a fuck, It's not England where, it's like a rigid clash structure.
It's like Coachella.
Yeah, it's like Coachella. Like, fuck it, I'll fuck this drug dealer. No, so like, it's so funny. They're like, and also on my mom's side, I mean, it's there's been no qualms about interracial shit. It's just like, whatever. It's like, does your dick work? Doesn't it come down to that?
Yeah.
I feel like a marriage can stay together if the dick works. Like, sex will keep a marriage together more so than friendship. Right? Is anyone married in here? The dick gotta work, right? No, you're married?
No.
No, sorry.
I don't know.
the point where I was trying to get to.
I can't imagine you can't marry someone that you don't like having sex with.
Right?
People do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
People do. People do.
People do.
That's sad.
I'm
It
not-
happens to them.
That's
I'm
a
not
bad
married.
idea.
That's a sad. Yeah. You ever see? Like you know, it's your buddy, but then you're like, man, this is like awful. You got creeps. What's up?
Sometimes they're really rich.
Sometimes you are really.
That's a different kind of dick that works.
Sorry, I've conversation.
But no, seriously, what I'm curious about is in your interactions with different types of people, coming from, you know, you are perceived as a black artist, and you're making different types of work, and you're subverting and sort of entering these different realms. You're taking the piss out of a lot of tropes of white art, and you're capitalizing on them and exploiting them. And I'm just sort of, maybe for the sake of like, this is generally a pretty white group of people.
Most art groups are pretty white, so you're
yeah,
used to it. When
but-
you're a black student in art school, you're more likely than not one of two black people in all of your classes. So you're kind of like, you're used to being a minority and also not connecting with people around you, but whatever.
So how do you grab like that sort of space of like being placed into like an abject space, which is where you were a minority in this like majority group as a participant in education or in the contemporary art world, and how are you, I mean, you don't need to like show your cards or something, but like maybe talk a little bit about like, I mean, you're fucking with a lot of this stuff, to be honest. Like you're playing with things, you're doing things that like, you're using Coogee sweaters while you're being critical of the fact that like this company does not that black people made their
Yeah.
and then you're making Abject paintings.
You just,
with,
I
like,
mean,
traditionally black men.
what it comes down to sometimes, I think, is that you have to make your work, no matter what circumstances are just like art. You know, like go onto Contemporary Art Daily and absorb what is the conversation of art, which is bullshit. I mean, that's always been me. I mean, that sounds so like stupid and like rapper. Like, you know.
No, but the silliness thing that you do, this sort of like position that you're putting yourself in is like, I mean, you're being like a licensed buffoon. Like
Yeah,
you know what you're.
buffoon.
Yeah, you're like. You're doing it in a sense where you're hyper conscious of the way that you're approaching it, and you're also like. You're not doing it strictly to be funny. Like there's a
darkness.
and there's like a real cut
yeah.
to like a lot of that work. Like you're saying, even in that early Rats poster stuff, like you're saying things that are on hyper like insecurities that people have about racial tensions and things like that. So you're making incredibly articulate, smart, somewhat violent but comedic work, and you're like not apologizing for it, but then you sort of like, in a certain sense, you navigate freely in a certain way because you're able to come across as silly instead of threatening, but you're kind of threatening.
Navigating comes down to if you made like the work that I made like in the 2000s, if you want to navigate, you have to be able to deal with the consequences of that kind of meandering. You know, like I made Too Black for BET. I made all that shit for free, pretty much. I mean, I was at university, but.
You were at university.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in England.
You were at uni.
Yeah.
Your flatmates.
You matriculate.
I think that I was able to make the work that I made, one, because I was in Philadelphia, where no one really cares about, like, at least in terms of New York, I feel like Philly artists get the bum rap. But you have to be able to deal with the consequences of like navigating that, which, make things like all that stuff. You're not making things to sell it. You're making shit because you want to make it, and you're willing to deal with that reality and like work your shitty job, be a bike courier for a law firm, and take showers in your ex-girlfriend's apartment.
I think I'll be there. I think that, like, if I walked into your show at Salon 94 this last summer and I didn't know you, I wouldn't know that you were a black artist. Like, and that's.
I could sell that shit for more.
One thing that I want to ask you about is that sometimes for me what stood out more than race in some of the works was this masculine identity. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you view yourself as a man in your work, and
think it's because like masculinity is a big curiosity. So I think I perform the masculinity.
Like, is it like more like it's like a heightened masculinity though?
Yeah, because I feel like I don't know, like masculinity to some degree is like a curiosity to me, and
Is it something like trouble? Sort of like
No.
hyper-masculine?
no, I think it's like, I think from my like upbringing, I was like a shy person, and I wasn't like a what we call a
Like stereotypically?
yeah. So I think sometimes like the hypersexualness and the masculinity in it is like more performance for me. Like I'm like kind of like guessing at what it is to be like.
What it means
Yeah.
Be a man?
Yeah. I mean, I think I know. I'm old enough. I should know.
But you play with that on like, and this is like maybe related to Al, who was in the last class, you know, Al Bedell's
Yeah.
like Twitter presence and this kind of like confessional aspect, like in comparison with like poster works like on Twitter, for example, is this sort of like,
Is it depressing?
I don't know, you tell me I should kill myself every time that I tweet.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's depressing for me in terms of like notifications. No, but like in terms of your feed, like there's also this like extreme vulnerability where like there's this forum where you go in and it's like, despite the fact that like you are a great artist and you have this like okay, but I mean objectively you are, and you have this background and this other work that's maybe comes across as masculine, or your posture, even if you're playing with it, that other presence where you're producing content that a lot of people are following and sharing and looking at, where you're sort of like being really open about feeling fucked up, or like not this character that's like successful or has not achieved.
Well, because it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, what's like, it's like people who have, like, I think they're still people, or they're probably pretty fraud. I mean, like paying my rent is great, but that doesn't change like it doesn't really change the way you feel about yourself, or it doesn't really like change like the inner landscape. You could like sell paintings and be like, I fucking like this is a joke. This is like hilarious, you know. So that vulnerability, this is a part of you that doesn't change no matter where you're at successfully. Like, I don't want to talk about mom. You're Terry Grossing me right now. You're making me cry like fucking Tracy Morgan. No, like seeing like my mom, someone who's like upper middle class, like came to the, like rose in her company with no college degree. I think there's a core of sadness to her, you know, and I kind of saw like, oh, money doesn't really like, you know, she can do certain things, but there's something like missing. I think she feels like there's something missing in her life. So I don't really feel like that, like selling something is like great, pay your rent, pay my studio rent, but just there's something wrong with me, and I make art to figure out what it is, you know.
I think maybe just to round that out, I think what's
And I
appealing
need
now.
your number of your therapist too.
Dr. Fallon.
Dr. McGee. He's Irish, right?
He's Irish. Yeah, it's a shit show.
But all right.
But no, but like to round that out, I think that one of the things that's like your humility in terms of that, in terms of your social media presence and things like that, is something that makes you seem like you're not monolithic or institutional. It comes across, I think, to people who follow you or are friends with you on Facebook and things like that as like you're authentic in a capacity.
Well, I think
that,
authenticity is a really
it's
like,
a shitty word,
yeah,
but
it's
I mean, like,
dangerous.
I could come across you and like have seen your videos and you're sort of posturing as this like,
that
person,
I mean,
and
that,
then you got this gallery representation. But then at the end of the day, like if I look at your Twitter, I'm just like, holy shit! Like you're being transparent about like some things that other people can identify with, and there's something interesting about that. That's not the same thing as like, you know, what like. I'm sure Matthew Barney is a fucking train wreck, right? But like, dude doesn't express that. So all that I mean is that I think that that's like.
Well, I think like the there are some artists.
Although you guys are basically you guys are Matthew Barney now.
I don't know. I think
video.
I don't even know why I moved to New York. I mean,
Because Brooklyn.
So I feel like you kind of answered my question when you said you don't make things to sell them. You make things because it's.
well, there has to be a curiosity to make. If you
Yeah.
start with profit as you're like, oh, I can sell this thing. It's like, well, that's not like, that's for me. I feel like when I start something, it's like because I want to see something made. There's like a curiosity that starts it. It's not necessarily when I started making the Kuji things. I was dismayed that I was buying material because I worked at Pearl when I was young. I used to steal art supplies all the time. I used to steal like the 2 Black for BET shit I made for free. I would just go to Kinko's and use their architectural plotter. And the Kinko's employees, they have such bad customer service. They don't want to talk to you. Walk up to that, they're like, oh, that's the fucking thing in the back I don't like working with. So I would steal things and like make art for free. And the Gucci shit, I was like, oh man, this is like, oh man, I'm like buying. This is fucking awful. This is like I'm buying art supplies. This is like really bad. So I think I just make work just to kind of see it live. You know, like the Ernie Bushmiller stuff. There's like there is no like deep read or there's no like for black artists there's no like, oh, how does this fit into like his other work? It was just like, oh, I think these things should be real paintings. So I just made it, yeah.
So I'm wondering, is anything off limits? Like, is there any idea you've had or anything where you're like, that's too much? Like, I don't want to go there.
That's funny. I mean, when I make things, I don't think that they're necessarily. It's not like, oh, this is gonna push boundaries. It's just I want to make it. So like whatever, like some of the posters or the videos, I'm never like, oh, this is. Well, when I make videos, I definitely say things. I've made certain videos or make people hate Hennessy. I like sabotaging things, but that never worked out. There's nothing that I was
Or
like.
anything you made. All right, I'm not gonna show this to people.
The Obama paintings, because I thought they looked really ugly, but I had someone who I thought was really smart look at them, and he's smarter than me, so he's like, these are really good. So I was like, all right, this smart person thinks these are good, so I should like be shy, like to pull them out of a drawer in my apartment and like show him. But there's never, I don't know, I don't think like I've made anything that's like too, I guess that's my own like personal litmus, where maybe like the Osama Jesus thing might be offensive to some people, but it's not like, Jesus is like a cartoon character on a television show that got canceled in the 50s to me. You know, he's not. Sorry.
We talked before, I think you and I have talked before about there's like this terrible reference, but Billy Madison. There's the scene in Billy Madison.
I watched it recently.
He's like graduating like whatever it is, like 2nd grade or something
Yeah.
as an adult, and Miss Lippy comes around.
Yeah.
And he's coloring, and she
Yeah.
says, and he's drawn a blue duck, and she says, now, you know, Billy, why did you draw the duck blue? And Miss Lippy, I'd never seen a blue duck before. And I wanted to see a blue duck.
Yeah, I think.
And it's like just as like a boiled down like why do this ridiculous thing, which is make useless objects that only contribute to discourse and not function or like anything else. That's like
I think
I wanted to see a blue duck.
Yeah, I think that's actually a perfect analogy for me. But I think that covers the kind of like audacity of making work. Because even if you make a work that's commenting on a certain issue or yourself or interiority, there's still kind of this absurdity of making this object as if this object is like it's like panacea, this thing that's gonna like that's like the art object made about a thing to solve a thing is often not gonna solve a thing. It's more of like the ego of the artist putting it into being. And that Billy Madison analogy is kind of just honest. It's like I just want to kind of see this. That's how I make most of my art, because I wanted to see this. The family business thing, I was like, I want to see what this would look like. But then the pragmatic aspect of getting it together was a nightmare. The Ernie Bushmiller shit, I was like, I wanted to see what these would look like. And then I learned how to paint with Flash, which was a nightmare.
Jayson, with the art thoughts of it, because you said something earlier I was curious about. After you established the persona of Hennessy, you could go with it and go in different directions, being rehearsed, this.
Yeah.
You even did one about how to be a black artist.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
Yeah.
But you also saying how in pushing limits you try to torpedo shit. You know, I mean.
Well, what do you mean torpedo shit? To torpedo myself? Or
There you
myself?
go.
Yeah.
So Precisely. I mean, or torpedo the effort, or stretch the boundary so much that it would be torpedo, challenge it.
I would say I think challenge. We should get rid of the word challenge because there's more. I think challenge is like to expand and make something better, and I think that I come from. But it's also the same thing with the music, though.
Yeah.
Like the music shit is so like classical little is like junky derelict music, and so when people meet us, we're like, oh, we're not. That's like like we go on tour and it's like 17-year-old dudes like, you want some of this Everclear? I'm like, nah, that's fucking gnarly, dude. Like we don't like actually like drink goat's blood and rap. It's performance. It's performance art. Performance.
I have a question.
Yeah,
So,
go ahead.
So to be honest, I'm not that familiar with your work.
Yeah.
I did prep myself on reading for the class, and I did hear about you a couple of times. So you identify as a Black artist, but the Blackness that comes through your persona is probably such a media-saturated Black.
Yeah, definitely a big mediated persona with the Hennessy stuff.
So, because I have a similar experience, I think I differ with you because I just want to be transparent.
Yeah.
Like I don't, the Blackness does come in, but also it's like the read of work. I've had like crits where like Blackness was brought in, but my intent was never to have that commentary going on.
With faculty or?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
my professor,
Yeah.
So if you think of like prominent Black artists, like your Kara Walkers,
Yeah.
Do you think that media-saturated persona somehow subconsciously is there when you deal with work like with contemporary prominent Black artists right now?
My perception of that work.
Or just general?
In general?
In general reads.
Someone like Kara has been making work for a long time, and she's very aware of those reads and what creating substantial imagery of her work. The domino, that thing is like, that is like meant for media to me. This like massive, monolithic, like powerful thing. But I don't know. I can't speak for other artists and how they like think about other Black artists and how they think about how their work is going to be read in terms of it's like decoy humor, and then I can like use that comedy or the humor to talk about something that's like more prevalent to like contemporary life or reality. So yeah, I mean it's just it's like a vehicle, really. I think, and a lot of that stuff is really like there is that initial humor that is used as a vessel to approach like other topics. But I only showed like two like light things from that. I think that's the function with a lot of the comedy. I think it's always like a vessel. I think with the Hennessy project, one of the reasons why it was successful because it like reached people who didn't know anything that hadn't gone through education. But it wasn't because solely it was critical. Something solely critical is like, so what? It's like. But I think a lot of people were brought in because the humor allowed a lot of people who didn't like have the education that had an education to kind of get into the work and the topics. Because a lot of people I've met who are like fans of that shit they have not gone to art school, and so this caricature allowed them to hear like lectures or thoughts on certain things they weren't really exposed to.
But something Kenny that you're raising that's related to Albie's question is about this sort of when you're relegated to a specific space of abjection in terms of like your participation in contemporary art, is that your work will be viewed through a hyper-specific lens. Like if I make a work, while it might be, let's say people will be like, oh, well, he's a cisgendered, like white male or something like that, but that's the norm, right? So I don't have to like confront that conversation, whereas like anything that Jayson is viewed as like a Black artist made this, or like a queer artist made this, or like somebody else, and so it takes on this connotation that is like maybe you're not even making work that has anything to do with that experience, yet it is almost said colored by that, but that's
okay.
No, but I mean, but it brings with it like a weight that like you're actually not responsible for.
Like my own like humor and curiosity. It sometimes has nothing to do with race. It's just like I want to see this thing. I want to do it. I want to make this thing. It's not like how will this thing stand up in like the annals of Black history or Black art. You know.
So, Mike Box question is: are you an internet artist?
Are you trying to get a rise out of me? I will often say that I'm not an internet artist. So it's like,
Which one's worse, black artist or internet artist?
Whoa!
Do we make shirts?
I mean, that's sort of
I think probably internet artist is worse. I mean, I made that one project, the Art Thoughts, for the internet. But I don't think anything else outside of that I've ever made has anything to do with the internet. And I even think Hennessy, even though like he addresses the internet, had nothing to do with like, it was just more of like, I make these videos, how can I share these with people? It's gonna be on the internet, therefore I'm gonna address the audience. But like, ultimately, it's not really about
It's not net, no. Like,
there's no gradients or mesh grids. Maybe the Bushmiller paintings are there already Bushmiller. They look more like a Memphis. Memphis is not a lot of net art. But no, I don't think I'm an internet artist. I hope.
Zombie Memphis.
Zombie Memphis. There you go.
Were you concerned with, I don't know, maybe I'll call it like the Dave Chappelle problem when you were making those, that your audience wouldn't be able to grasp or would be laughing at the wrong thing?
I didn't really think of that, but that's always, when you make something that's like humorous or any kind of work, you can't really control like what people will find funny. But I think when I was making those videos, or even like the text posters, I thought my audience would be really small because and with the
alright, sorry to be like super basic, but just going through your lecture really quick, it was like Powerpuff Girls, Obama, Hennessy Youngman, and the Art Critic. How do you feel about the word vigilante to describe what you do?
Vigilante's a hero, I'm not a hero.
But I mean, not necessarily. I mean, like a vigilante can be a villain as well. It's just like, it's not an alien, it's just a vigilante.
I don't like, that's too much like, it's still like, I don't know, there's still like this connotation of like heroics, and I'm not like, I'm a fucking, like Hennessy, I'm a besotted human being, you know, I'm like I'm not the hero, you know, I'm not, like a child, actually, but.
I guess what's really coming through for me in terms of hearing you speak about your work and also looking at the work is this just ridiculously high level of like autonomy and curiosity. Like you keep saying like, I just want to see this made, like I'm gonna do this thing.
Yeah, and also, I think I lived in Philadelphia for 15 years. I think perhaps, I don't know how many of you have gone to school in New York and have lived in New York for a significant amount of time. I think because you have like the Mount Doom of Chelsea in Mordor, you have this like, you have this notion, New York, I think there's this notion of maybe visibility, or this kind of idea of success that I think other people from other cities don't really deal with. So I can make all of these things, and I don't think about it having any like leeway outside of a few people. And I think that might be the difference. Like thinking about audience, I don't think about it. It's like the audience, like even though those two Black BET posters at art shows, like there's really like, I don't want to call it a media blackout, but there's just like no regard or concern for other, New York, LA, London, or whatever. maybe the internet will change that, but I think that it comes from a space where you make something, it exists, but it's not gonna. I've derailed this again. How was that?
It's something over here.
To be basic, but do you think folk artist is a better word than vigilante?
I think folk artist is way better. I don't mind folk. I'm like, yeah. I
Yes, folk.
What
about digital folk artists?
I've heard that term getting around. Actually, if I was ever invited to do a TED Talk, digital.
I just want to contextualize.
I would gladly do a TED Talk under the guise of digital folklore with the new Air Jordans that have HDMI ports in the back.
I'm just wondering, do you is it difficult for you to find language to talk about your art that you don't find annoying, or to talk about any art? Like how that came across very deep.
No. Don't pay attention to Sean.
Maybe I mean, is there a way to talk about art that doesn't suck, in your opinion?
I don't know.
That's the problem I have.
I don't know. 'Cause actually, I don't read a lot of. Outside of grad school, I don't really read a lot of criticism. Because sometimes I find criticism they're written by people, and people have personal relationships. So you'll see things you don't like that will get bigged up because the writer might have been invited to a dinner, so he's still or she. Some of it sometimes it sounds too academic. There are writers who they write in a way that is the language is so burdened with critical discourse that it loses its humanity, and it's not interesting to me. But I actually try to stay away. I don't really write about art, and I try to stay from writing about art. I try to stay pretty ignorant. Therefore, I can be freer when I make the stupid things that I do. It's weird, but when I was in grad school, I didn't really read that much art. Contemporary.
Should we do 2 more questions and then move on to...
And 3.
3 more
and
questions.
4. Well, you have 4. There's 4 hands.
Do 4.
We can do 4.
And then we'll move on. And then we'll move
Don't let it happen.
I know it's...
I'm really intrigued by...
Y'all don't have day job.
I'm really intrigued by the comment you made, because I think the thing about art criticism, for someone who, as an artist, to be so saturated in theory, I feel like the instinct to make work becomes a confusion,
Yeah.
that takes place. And what I think about your work is that the truth, you do something and you're like, I don't know where this is gonna go, but the truth that seems to be the most concrete aspect of it is the comedy, well, but it seems to be
The essential thing for me.
the essential thing for you, and for many artists, Richard Prince is a great example of someone where it seems like comedy is really the thing that has people damn, this shit is funny as fuck and you're trolling,
Yeah, I'm troll.
Karen Walker's funny as shit too in Trolls.
Comedy is definitely the most important aspect. I think I wouldn't be invited here. The criticality is great and fine, but I think for me it's always been the comedy is what brings people into the work, and through that you can always lead people to where you want to lead them. But if the comedy isn't right, then it's just not right. I can't be at a club, actually at a party in Philly, and some 19-year-old kid is are you Hennessy? If I was critical, he's not gonna fucking read a PDF. But in passing, due to the humor, this kid I don't know, I will never see again at some party, will have taken in something. Even if it's briefly, and maybe he won't understand the full scope of it, but at least it's an introduction. I think the comedy is the most important part, hands down. The sharp, the criticality or intelligence is it's tertiary. It's always the humor. I'm sorry, did I depress everyone? Time traveling b-boy, and but it's like this very naive person doesn't really like know much about history, and he's sent into these really key circumstances of the Western history, like how does like black people, you know, and so through this series he has a direct impact on Western capitalism. And he doesn't, it's actually, the whole series is really about capitalism, but he doesn't realize it. And he's also, yeah.
He doesn't make it back to the pyramids, in other words.
Oh, he does. We're only doing 6 episodes. We actually filmed the whole first episode. We're just in the process of editing it. The same person who shot, like I wrote it and produced it, and the director is my friend Scott, this filmmaker named Scott Ross in Philadelphia, and he's actually the camera person on all of Eastern Sports. So he shot all of Eastern Sports, he edited all of Eastern Sports, and he's friends with me and Alex DeCourt, so he can only do like one thing at a time. So we shot the first episode, and it's sitting on a hard drive, and he was like, oh, you know, we're both working on Eastern Sports, so he's like editing it this week and next week. I tried to get him to finish the rough cut for today, but I wanted to show you guys the rough cut of the series, but he was like, I don't know how to do it. But it's like pretty funny, but it's like a standard comedy. This is like 10 minutes long. It's a standard comedy. There's no art, thank God. There's nothing to do with art. It's all like history and politics, and it's pretty funny from what I heard. Yeah, it's, you know, yeah. So hopefully it'll be online. We want to film everything. We want to film everything before we put it online. So
you would have to do that.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to.
You can't.
We don't want to do one.
That's the only way that you could do that.
You can film one episode, put it online, and then forget about it.
I meant like you can't
film one whole
put something online before you filmed it.
One episode.
Time travel or something.
Oh, sorry. It's a huge. That's my beat. Sorry. Aaron, and then there was one more. Okay. Or,
You're last. You're actually 5, so we said 4. We actually said 4.
I love that.
But I know a lot of Jews. Jewish. You're next.
That's what we've been doing.
My grandfather was Jewish.
Mine too.
Yeah. See, I got that Drake.
So you seem really like unafraid to be extremely weird, and that's like the thing is like you gave a bunch of answers as to why this might be like, you know, you live in Philly, it's not as big, or like, you know, I just thought of a thing and I wanted to do it, but I just am trying to see like how do you stop yourself from being like, this is a terrible idea, this is never gonna work.
Oh, wait, terrible idea thing.
Yeah, how do you stop yourself from being like, no, I can't do this. This is way
That's
too
come up
weird.
before. Where have I said that to myself? Like, should I do this?
Twitter dress.
You have to be like honest with yourself, or sounds like super cliche.
You just have to be honest with yourself.
Yeah, if you work from a position, if you work as an artist, if you're working in a position of your work comes first and not pleasing, you know? Like, you know, in school, you're always like, all right, well, if you have like a bad grade, you're fucking. And you don't like that, like affects how you work. But if you consider that the people teaching you are all artists, they're all like insecure pieces of shit that they have their own conflicts and their own problems. Their opinions don't really like carry that much. They're people. They're just like, and they've had a longer time to fail at life, and therefore they're teaching you. Therefore, just kidding. Fuck you, faculty. No, I mean the people creating you should work in a position of where the work is first and pleasing the audience, or your faculty is second. Like in undergrad, without missing a beat, I always failed one class a semester because it was an easy class. I just was like, I couldn't focus on doing the work for this one class. I always was like, I was like a C student. I always cared about like one project a semester, and I would let a lot of things collapse around me because of it, and that's carried into the present because I let my while one thing might be If you're willing to let fuck up personal relationships, have your family be really angry at you, but you make things you like or you really stand behind, then who cares? You know, your family's not gonna be in your fucking coffin with you. No, it's not a mass rape. No, it's like Nas once said.
It's not a mass rape.
No.
Yeah.
Nas once said, "Born alone, die alone. My crew to keep my crown on thrones." Like, yo, just live your life, make what you want to make, and then you're in your coffin by yourself.
Unless
you're in a mass rape. This guy. Comedy is always trying to reach toward truth, where art is trying to create veils around truth. Where even something is even like Henny Youngman, all this like jokes about like take my wife please, it always foregrounds this kind of this like displeasure in life or the choice you've made.
For the record, Henny Youngman is a comedian.
Yeah, Henny Youngman is
Hennessy
Hennessy Youngman is a play on Henny Youngman. Henny Youngman was the king of the one-liners. But I always feel like comedy, even the most banal fucking what's his name, Drew Carey? No, Drew Carey. Drew Carey, sorry. Comedy, even if it's even the worst joke is always moving toward a truth.
Yeah.
And I feel like art, even though art might say it's like dealing with an issue, it most often than not is creating a veil around an issue. It's not like comedy's more effective than art, in my opinion. Comedy always moves towards truth, and art doesn't.
Well, artists always claim that they are not required to provide answers. They're supposed to be and so comedians do something slightly different. It's like identifiable, like recognizable. That's nebulous. We don't understand it yet, but they take it out of the realm of like politics into this other realm where like we have to be confronted with like it's abject or it's whatever. So it does seek a truth, whereas art's like, have you thought about this yet? Is that not what? Have you guys thought of it? Thank you.
So glad. Can I play some music while this is over? Right?
Yeah.